the Insiders, and man, are we excited to be here today.
It's a party, baby!
It's a Saturday night. What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are all doing well, and we are the Insiders. And if you didn't notice, Jeff was very busy today changing just about everything that we have with our new logo. So I hope you all like it. I hope you all noticed it. Be hard-pressed not to if you visited almost any of our sites today, because everything's pretty much done. And it's crazy. Jeff was telling me like exactly how much he had to change, and you don't really realize it until you do something like this. But we will start off with that. So in case people are wondering, but first, obviously, let me welcome Jeff. Jeff, what's going on, man? I know you were a busy guy today.
Yeah, I was a little bit busy. Rebranding a show in less than 24 hours. I feel like one of those, those Chicken Nightmare shows, like with Gordon Ramsay or 24, whatever it's called, but they go in 24 hours to completely renovate a restaurant. That's how I felt today. Like I was completely renovating our restaurant. So
and it was a renovation. Yeah. I mean, again, you don't really realize how much you have to get into when you do something like this. And we had talked about this for a little while, so it's not like this is kind of new, but when, all of a sudden things just happen and you just think, well, you know what? No time like the present to do it. But again, I appreciate everything that Jeff did to get everything looking the way it is. It is a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff that goes with that kind of stuff behind the scenes. But in case you're wondering why, so we started this whole thing over a year ago, and we started it as a podcast, obviously. So we were pretty much an audio show that had a very good video presentation, but we've kind of grown over the years, the past year and year and like 2-3 months or so, I guess, a lot more than we kind of thought we would. And that's a lot of it thanks to you. And we kind of just figured, we're not really a podcast anymore. So using that name, Insiders Wrestling Podcast, it kind of makes you be in kind of a group where you're just limited to being a podcast, and that's really not what we are anymore. So it just kind of made sense. Wes says it looks amazing. Thank you. Jeff came up with the graphics, the wording and everything too. We kind of thought, and Jeff and I were kind of together on this, kind of thought that with the way the lettering is and everything, that it kind of looked good for what we are, if you can kind of get that. So so I hope that you guys like it as much as we do. And so we are now Insiders Pro Wrestling, as you can see up in the corner of your screen. Kind of encompasses pretty much everything we do, because we're not just stuck on one theme. We kind of touch on, everything we can on the show. So welcome to the first new night of our rebranding, and that's essentially what it is. And sometimes, big companies, corporations, and stuff like that, they do this too. And it's just sometimes you have to kind of do things to kind of move. And I've said this before too. When you kind of stay, you kind of stay the course, you get stagnant sometimes. And sometimes to get to that next level, it's good to change. So, Jeff, your thoughts? And I like, other than it being crazy.
Yeah, other than it being crazy, obviously we wanted to do something that was representative of us. And the old logo and all that stuff, it was fine, but when I started really developing this, I was like, I want to do something that's gonna wow some people and pop, just really pop and speak to who we really are. And I feel like this does, in terms of the name change. I mean, we don't just do a podcast anymore. We have several shows during the week. We are probably, hint, hint, wink, wink, going to add some different stuff coming soon. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and it honestly gives us an opportunity at more exposure. And I want to give a shout out to someone else too. While we're doing this, I want to give a shout out to C Wrestling, because we were talking about it, you and I, and then he kind of talked to both of us, kind of confirming what we had already talked about. Like, okay, it made sense to make that change. So I want to give a big shout out to him too, because yeah, he kind of confirmed what we had discussed previously.
Yeah, that's true. He's always been a supporter of the show, and we obviously thank him for that. And yeah, I mean, it's, obviously, folks like him, and people like Conrad and other people who have been behind us and supported us and stuff over the past year and a half. Obviously, they've been doing this longer, and they've been doing it with success, and there's no arguing with it. They both have they have a lot of knowledge. They both have the capability of doing the things that they're focused on doing and doing them well. So if you're going to, look at people like that and take advice from people like that, it's good to do that with people who are doing the things well. So yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of hands that go into things that people don't see behind the scenes. A lot of the work that Jeff does behind the scenes of the show, and there's always people that we've talked to over the course of the last year and a half or so that have given us some advice on things to do, and we thank them as well. But yeah, no, absolutely. He did mention that a while. He's mentioned it a few months back, I think, about changing the name. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shout out to C Wrestling as well. Hope he's doing well. Haven't seen him in the chats as much, so I hope he's doing well out there. I'm sure he's busy doing stuff with his own channel and stuff too, though. All right, let's welcome some people in, and we'll get started, because as it seems every Saturday we've got a ton to talk about. So Kevin Correa, hi to you. Jen Carter, what's going on, Jen? Big Dan says, are we ready to debate who lasted longer, Adnan Virk or New Coke? Welcome to the new and improved insiders. Little T, what's going on? Like the new logo, thank you, Little T. James Grant says, what's up? Randy Sam says, woo, what's up, guys? Janelle Jackson, hello. It's an insiders party, baby, says Wes Heron. In tribute to Tazzy, who is with the baseball team this week. He will be back Tuesday, by the way. I did see that yesterday, so he's doing NXT this week, so that's cool. Danielson is here. Lego, he says. Kevin Correa is here. Christopher LaVenture is here. John Cena Gamer 0809, hello to you. Melinda Ford, what's up? Trex Edie is here. Hello to you, Trex. Sean Rousset, what's up, Sean? How are you? Going down. James Chadwick, what's going on, James? The man of the big wrestling list. If you ever want to see a cool thing, check out James on Twitter. If you haven't followed him already, obviously he's one of our mods, but check out he does a list every single week on Saturdays. He puts a lot of work into it too. But he puts out a wrestler of the week list. And he literally, we all know, we've talked about it in our show, how much wrestling James watches. So he would be the guy to do this kind of a thing, but he shouts out his wrestlers of the week. It's really cool. So check it out if you guys follow James. And if you don't, you should. Will Jax Effect is here. Hello, Will Jax. How are you? James Grant, I think I said hello to you earlier. If I did, then Noob & Co. What's going on, Noob? Thanks. Noob's always shouting us out too. Thanks, Noob & Co. Appreciate that. Brandon Barnes says, hey, what's up, Brandon? How are you? Randy Sam says, nice song. 90s dance music. CC Peniston finally. Are we doing a little CC music fact? Is that what we're doing? Gene is here. Hey, Gene, what's going on with you? Azan White is here. Hope you are doing well, Azan. Butter Spark is here. Says, really great work. So much evolution in a short time since inception. Yeah, it's hard to believe. It's only just been, a year and a couple of months. It really has gone really quickly. It's crazy. Big Dan, you guys should push to get Hall and Nash on. We could call the episode "The Insiders Meet the Outside." Oh my God, dude, that would be amazing. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, hey, you never know. Maybe someday. Maj is here. Hello, Maj. What's up, Jeff and Joe? Love the new intro. Gave me Ghost 2 DJ, and I think of you. So what's up, guys? And with a culture beat mix. Yes. Yes. Holiday weekends take a lot out of a person. Yes, is on. I agree. They do. Bliss fan, what's up with you, Bliss fan? How are you? All right. I think that we've got just about everybody, but welcome in. So we are going to get down to it because, again, a lot's happening in the world of this crazy thing that we call wrestling. So let's get right into stuff, shall we? And we are going to start, as we always do. I've got some breaking news. So we'll talk about the stuff that's going on. And, well, I mean, we're going to segue into some of this stuff, I guess, going through, because a lot of it was kind of breaking last night and today. And we've got this a little later on in the show, Jeff, but I guess probably the two biggest things are probably the thing that happened on AEW last night, unfortunately, with the it was ugly. The stuff that happened there that cost a gentleman his job because of some racist comments that were made, and then also some shots fired, maybe you can say, from one con to another. That was a little weird. I had to almost listen to it twice because I'm like, wow, like, where are they going with that? But we'll talk more detail about those things. Azan says Thunder Rosa's involvement in that situation was weird, so we'll start there. Man, and I know Jeff's going to talk about this, I think, a little later on as well. But what did you make of all that when you heard that? And obviously, man, it's bad. Like it's just not good. And I know it came from a Spanish announce table, so a little bit different in that respect, I guess, but still, like, just an uncomfortable situation. As this kind of stuff, when this happens, it is uncomfortable, no matter how you slice it. And it was just uncomfortable. And we'll talk about, because Azan mentioned Thunder Rosa, but man, when you first heard this, what did this come off as being like to you?
It made me sick to my stomach, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, here you have a person that's been your champion for, I believe, over a year or right at a year, in Sheeta, and they're giving her the new belt, and she's doing her first in-ring promo, and it's a big deal for her, and a lot of fans thought it was a big deal too. And to get this from from a commentary team, I don't care if it's a Spanish announce team or whoever, to get it from anyone is a joke. Like it's ridiculous that you would even do that. And then, like in terms of Thunder Rosa, she was there. Did she make the comment? No. But honestly, this is what is wrong when it comes to calling out racism when we see it or when we hear it. And if anyone is on the fence of if this was racist or not, I would challenge you to prove that it's not.
Yeah.
And at this point, I have, like, it's so unprofessional, but I'm not surprised, because a lot of times when it comes to unprofessionalism, if you see it in your rank and file staff, then chances are it started at the top. And we'll talk about some other things with that too. But whenever it comes down to that, when there's unprofessionalism, it usually starts at the top. And C Wrestling, I mentioned him earlier, but we actually talked about this. It almost makes you question if this is a part of the culture there, because we've seen Jake the Snake mock Miro. We've heard stories about wrestlers mocking other wrestlers there. So So I mean, it makes you wonder if this is a part of the culture. Which I mean, you have enough of these things. I mean, what did they say? One is whatever, two is a pattern, and three is a trend. I mean, this might be a trend there, Joe.
I really hope not. And I mean, Daniel Sunset Thunder was kind of egging it on. She was laughing, and again, when I had to go back and listen to the clips, I think C posted the clip, and I went back and listened to it, and it's like Jeff said. Now I get it. They were, if you're going to look at it from a faraway standpoint, you're on live TV. So I guess, but I see it's really hard to come up with excuses. It's really hard to come up with excuses and say, well, they did this because, like, and I can't speak for her, because I she could have been so taken aback that she was like, oh my God, like, kind of just panicked and said, well, what do I do? Because it could have been just shock and just not knowing what was going on. But I hope, like Jeff said, I hope it's not part of the culture. I really do, because man, that's not a culture you want to be in. And you're going to hear, this could be the first in something that happens, and you're going to hear more and more about this come down the pike after a while. It may not be with people in the immediate future that are still working for this company, but some of these people that may not want to tolerate this may end up leaving this company somewhere down the line and come back and start to really talk about this stuff. And boy, oh boy, it's not something that you want to see. And when we go over this later on, I'm even thinking about a point, and I was talking to this with Conrad a little earlier via messages, and I had even mentioned to him, they have plans going forth for the pay-per-view that they've got on Sunday. Could the plans now have possibly changed because of this? Because I can almost bet you that their plan was they were going to give that belt to Britt Baker. I can almost bet, just the way you can kind of see the storyline developing, and it was kind of her time. Do they have to now rethink that because of what just happened here? And then with the outrage that a little bit that they're getting from this, or that they're getting now, if they take that off her, they got to start, even if they weren't even thinking about this before, it's something now that they really have to consider. Can we take this belt off her? And it's not to look bad. So yeah, it's just a shame. It's really a shame. I get stunned by this stuff every single day, that our culture, and not just in the wrestling world, but everywhere, there's still so much of this out there. And I mean, the comments that he made, these are things that I last heard when I was a young man. Like, you heard kids doing this kind of stuff when you were going to school. And we didn't have many people from the Pacific, or, from Japan or from China in our schools. And we had a family that came, and they had 2 students that would come into class, and, the kids were cruel. And the kids would make fun of the way their eyes were, the way they looked, and the way that they talked. This is the last time that I have heard something like he did, was in grade school. Like I said, I was probably 6 years old. That's sad. When all these years later, for me, 45, 46 years later, and you're still getting this from a grown man. Yeah. It's just sad.
It really is. Joe, you know this. I don't have to tell you this, but I deal with this on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yep.
And the fact that if you're a person of color, the fact that you have to learn how to just cope with this and just deal with it.
It's not fair. Yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you support racism, anyone, I got nothing to say to you, honestly.
Yeah.
You need to think about You really need to reevaluate your life if you dislike someone based on the color of their skin.
Yeah, I mean, as On brings up a point with basketball, yeah, you saw like the last few days, people got banned from sports arenas, banned from a sports arena. Again, like I never heard about any of this stuff. Like back in the day, like you people hated it, teams hated each other. That's just how it was. It's sports. But pouring things on a player's head, spitting on a player, that's just, it's awful. It's awful. And yeah, it's just yeah. Like Jeff said, I mean, I can't even imagine as a white male. I can't even pretend to imagine. I've told Jeff this before, what he goes through with this, on a constant basis, and it just sucks. There's just, I don't know. It just is, it's awful. And we'll talk about this more, but this was probably the big thing. Now the man was fired, which, okay. They had to, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He lost his job for doing what he did. And then, so that's good, but it doesn't take it back. And it doesn't take it back from being out there. When we've said this before, when something like this comes out, it's everywhere. And it will always be everywhere. It's on social media instantaneously in the snap of a finger. It's out there, and it will never not be. So everyone and anyone that wants to is going to hear this. And regardless of whether that man is still employed or not, it's out there. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is think of how she feels. Think of how she feels. Do you think she's going to be comfortable? Do you think she's going to be comfortable doing a promo again? Do you think yeah, what a shame. What a shame. Oh, all right. So from there, let's move on to I don't know, I feel like kind of like I'm Captain Kirk now. And Con! We've got a con versus con thing brewing here. This happened before the show last night. And I taped it. Because I was watching SmackDown and then I got involved with some stuff, so then I kind of watched it a little bit later. But I mean, I listened to this and I'm like, what is he doing? Like, what is he doing? And I get it. He likes to play this like villainous role. He's done it at Impact. But what is he doing here? Like, and then I listened to it again. And I, on my way into work today, I was listening to as Mark Henry was talking about it on Busted Open. I was listening to him and the host of Busted Open talking about it today. And they kind of played it again. And I listened to it again. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Toward the end of it, then you can kind of hear the anger and the animosity a little bit more when you listen to it a second time. And at first I was thinking, like, is this just a goof? But it's not. It's Tony pointing out that what he thinks that is coming from Connecticut and the other con is bullshit, that he is lying about this and that this is all a bunch of lies. And I didn't get that at first. When I was listening to it at first, I'm like, oh, well, is this just starting something between the three companies? Is he just trying to start? But he's mad because they are. And it was funny how Mark Henry put it, Jeff, because he had said, he goes, think of it as having a restaurant at dinner at a restaurant with your girlfriend or your wife or whatever. And somebody comes over and they start sitting down at your table and they start talking and paying attention to your wife. Like, how would you react to that? And I guess that's a little bit of what this was. Like, Tony had been working with New Japan for a while. I mean, they've had New Japan dealings going on for a while, and we still don't know what the whole issue is with him and Impact and whether they were working with them too. But he's recently had Rocky Romero on. He had Moxley defend that championship. So they've been working with them, right? And now all of a sudden this news comes out that says WWE is working with or working with New Japan. So that was where that statement came from, where, oh, you were doing this for 2 weeks or 2 months. I've been doing this for over a year. So this was anger. This was him being pissed. And he was coming out saying that he called them Tony Khan, the con man, or, called him the con man from Connecticut. So, he's claiming that this is all untrue and it's lies. Now, this is, and we'll talk about this probably a little bit more too. This is all about Daniel Bryan. I think that's plain and simple. WWE is, listen, Vince cannot lose Daniel Bryan to AEW. He can't. You may not think of Daniel Bryan being a big player or a big deal, but he is. And if Vince lost him to AEW because Daniel maybe wants to go and wrestle in New Japan, this is why they're doing this. I have no doubt. So, that's to me what this is. Say what you will about both players, and we don't know. Again, now there was some more shots fired today. Drew McIntyre put out a tweet. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he said, "Oh, look, I'm being followed by the T-Mobile Center." Well, it wasn't the T-Mobile Center. You look above the T-Mobile Center, who followed him? It was Okada. So, yeah. So it's starting something. So, look, money talks. Vince has a lot of money, too. Tony Khan has money, but Vince does, too. So this is two billionaires that are going to start to woo the proverbial girlfriend. And the girlfriend is New Japan. So Jeff, when I first heard it, I had no clue what he was doing. But as I got another listen to it, I'm like, okay, all right.
I'm showing my age here, but the only difference in this situation between this and the movie Indecent Proposal is WWE didn't go to AEW and say, "Hey, how much is it going to cost us to be able to have the companionship of New Japan?" Because this sounds like the plot of Indecent Proposal.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I'll give you $1 million. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really does. But
it does.
You brought up a lot of valid points, and I don't want to belabor that because you did great with all of that. Like you said, money talks, and the saying, money talks, BS walks. While everybody's playing nice in the sand right now with New Japan and AEW and Impact, let's keep it real. Whose reach is bigger globally?
Yeah.
WWE.
Yep.
New Japan has a show that's going to be on in America. What better way to boost that up? And I think C Wrestling just said that. What better way to boost that show up than to work with WWE? Think about the storylines. Think about the matchups. I mean, yes, there are some great matchups with New Japan and AEW and Impact. But can you imagine some of the matchups that we could get?
I mean,
Tama Tonga already tweeted out about it. Okay, talking about the bloodline.
Oh, yeah, like with Roman and the Usos. Yeah. Holy cow, yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, this thing is big, and I think someone said what would happen with Impact. Well, the way that this was reported, this would be an exclusive deal with WWE. So it would be just New Japan working with WWE unless WWE is saying, "Hey, let's get we can keep Impact involved, just not the other company." I can see Vince being petty like that, saying, "Oh yeah, you can still work with Impact because let's be honest, WWE really doesn't fear Impact. They don't fear AEW either. They just want to stick it to them." So.
Yeah, it's crazy, and people are putting up all kind of fantasy stuff in the chat. Big Dan was saying, "Can you imagine the Fiend in New Japan?" Oh my God, would they love him there? They love horror stories over there. Like that's where all this kind of stuff that comes over here that I can't stand to watch, like all that ghost stuff and the possession stuff comes from. It would suck to see Impact lose it, but I mean, can you imagine like a team like Finjuice going up against the Usos or going up against the Street Profits, or I mean, there can be a lot of really sick, crazy matchups that could come out of this. So we haven't heard the last of this. The shots were fired, and don't think for a second that Vince is going to stand back and take it because he's not. Tony, like I said, has got a lot of power, a lot of money, but he's fighting a guy who has a lot of money as well. So you're having billionaire versus billionaire here. And so it's going to come down to really, I think, whether Vince wants to keep Daniel Bryan and not have that embarrassment of losing him to the competition. Because I hate to tell you guys, I know some of you have said that maybe Daniel will show up at Impact. That's not going to happen. It's going to be WWE or AEW. There's no question in my mind, especially with all this New Japan stuff coming out that Daniel wants to do. So, all right. Let's move on, because I know we'll probably come back to that as well. And hello, C. I saw C was in there with some comments. Thank you for doing that. So, all right, let's start. Let's go back to SmackDown, Jeff.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. I'm just pulling up the graphic here. Yeah, the Usos, man.
This was a really cool episode of SmackDown. Now, SmackDown's been good. But last night's was really kind of neat the way they did it. I mean, they're going with these really long starting matches, but the Usos and the Street Profits really put on a show. And I kind of knew that they would. Two of the better teams, the Street Profits were the ones that were around. They were the ones who carried the titles for a long time. Them going up against the Usos was really cool to see. It was a great match all in all. I'm a little surprised. I really didn't know how this was going to go, because you all know what Roman's looking like. So Roman's putting stuff into Jay's mind, and you kind of thought, maybe, is he going to turn on Jimmy, or is Roman going to come out and stop them from doing what they want to do, or what Jimmy wants to do? But it's now you can see they've got their title shot next week. Now, whether or not they're actually going to get it, that's a whole nother story, because we saw the look on Roman's face at the end of that show. So, and again, he's still getting into Jimmy's head. Is this what you want? It's been you and me. And he made that clear. So is he going to turn his brother on, is he going to turn Jay on Jimmy? It kind of looks that way, or else he's going to interject something into it as well. So this was really cool. It was cool to see them back. And I'll tell you, the Usos didn't look like they missed a beat, Jeff. They were really good out there, man.
Man, I mean, you forget that they're one of the best tag teams of this generation.
Yeah.
With the injuries and everything, with Jimmy being injured, we miss seeing the Usos.
Yeah.
We miss seeing that depth and the quality of matchups in the tag team division in WWE when they were gone. Same thing with the Viking Raiders. I mean, you can tell when those teams aren't there. But man, this is so cool, and I think it's cool for quite a few reasons. One, you got the OG in there, Ray, and obviously, and Dominic is there, and they've got that cool story. But man, what about like I believe Big Dan said, what about the Bloodline having the gold on SmackDown? I mean, that story in and of itself just makes a lot of sense. But does it happen next week, or do we get it at the next pay-per-view? Do we get it at Hell in a Cell? Because maybe, just maybe, Roman cost them this time, but he has to get through to make sure that, hey, I got to have you on my side, and if you're on my side, then we can rule the land. And maybe that's when we start to get that turn and everybody kind of works together. But yeah, I mean, SmackDown last night was awesome.
It was.
I watched it back today. Didn't get a chance to watch it live last night, but yeah, it was awesome. And I'm happy to see the Usos back in form, man.
Yeah, happy to see them both healthy, obviously, with Jimmy's case, and yeah, happy to see them back in the ring. It's going to be really tough, and we all kind of knew that Ray and Dominic were probably going to be a placeholder, and that's what they are. I mean, they got their moment. But it kind of always felt as if they were going to be a placeholder for, whoever was going to come next and get those titles. So like Jeff said, maybe it won't, maybe the titles won't change. Maybe something will happen where it will spill over to Hell in a Cell. That makes a lot of sense, especially if Roman's not going to be in a cell. And there have been rumors out there that said he's not going to be in a singles match at this pay-per-view. So if that's the case, then it would make a lot of sense that they would be. And that's where we would probably see Roman would be going on to something with that. But yeah, SmackDown's been really excellent. I really can't understand that them and Raw are in the same building. that they're those guys from both of those teams backstage, whatever, are all on the same page. I just can't see it because they're so different. They're really so different. One show is so entertaining and the other one is so yeah, but it was great. It was absolutely great. And this story has been really, really good. And it should just get better. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We've got, I think Big Dan wanted to know what lasted longer. New Coke or Adam Burke? If you guys don't watch a lot of sports, especially, some of our fans from overseas don't watch a lot of, American sports and stuff like that, you wouldn't really have known Adnan Virk. I've heard him a lot because he was on SportsCenter quite a bit. He does a lot of things with hockey. Now, I'm not as big of a hockey fan, so I don't. He also has a podcast. And I'll just come right out and tell you, he's good at the sports stuff. He really is. And he always was. That's why I was excited when he first came in, because I'm like, okay, the guy can do sports, but it just didn't work out. It really just didn't work out. I mean, you were hearing him just in the background going, wow, a lot. And that's never going to cut it when your play-by-play guy is just sitting there and going, wow, all the time. Yikes. Now, in his defense, I will say this, and I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Vince McMahon is on that headset a lot. That has been confirmed by many, many, many people, including Renee Young, the most recent. They are constantly having their heads on a swivel in that desk. That is not an easy job because you can't necessarily be yourself there because you are being given direction in a headset. Now, imagine how that would be. Like you're talking, and all of a sudden you're hearing, well, no, you have to say this. No, what are you doing? Like if that's what you're hearing in your headphones, you're like, that's really not easy. So anyway, they had to do something. It wasn't working, and they had to let him go. So obviously it was what was he with them? A few months, I think, and yeah. So I mean, obviously he said that it was a mutual thing, that they mutually decided to part ways. Adnan will be fine because I'm sure they'll give him a job back in sports again somewhere. He's, like I said, he's good at that, so he'll get back into that. And then Tom Phillips as well, gone. So we're gonna talk. We segue a lot of this stuff. We're gonna talk about this in another area of our show, but some of this doesn't make sense to me because I thought Tom Phillips was pretty good. Was he fantastic? Listen, are we ever going to have another JR? Are we ever going to have a Jerry the King Lawler? Are we ever going to have a Bobby the Brain and a Gorilla Monsoon? Probably not. But, you had some people under your roof, Samoa Joe, that were pretty good at the job. And yet you chose. Now, again, Samoa Joe may have wanted to be out. And that's fine. Macho Man didn't want to do that either when that whole thing happened. He didn't want to be an announcer. He wanted to wrestle. And if Joe wants to wrestle, that's Joe's right. And if he wants to wrestle and they just didn't want him to wrestle, then fine. He's going to go on. He's going to move on somewhere else. And if that's what happened, then that's what happened. But instead of bringing a guy in from MMA, who, by the way, has said, now I don't watch MMA, so I can't talk too much about this guy except from the things that I've heard. But he has come out and openly admitted he hasn't watched wrestling since he was a young boy, 10 years old, 11 years old. he recently had Bully Ray on his MMA show when they were talking about Brock Lesnar because he didn't know enough to talk about Brock Lesnar in wrestling. You're getting a guy who didn't know a lot about wrestling and going to another guy who doesn't know a lot about wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm confused. I'm confused, Jeff.
Make it make sense, right?
Right.
That's what they say. I want to shout out Daniel's son. He gave us a very generous donation, so thank you.
Thank you.
And to answer your question, I really hope we see The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. I really, really, really hope so. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Adnan, this is a symptom, and people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. This is a symptom of our instant gratification culture that we have. Because, I mean, obviously Adnan was not a wrestling guy. We all know that. We knew that out of the gate, okay? But what ends up happening with WWE and other companies is that they do something, they make a quick decision, then they start to listen to the fans. And if there's enough backlash, if there's enough, groundswell, then they say, you know what, we got to move on. Who knows if Adnan had been given maybe another 2 or 3 months? Who knows what could have happened? But this is why I also put this on WWE, because you have a performance center for your wrestling talent and your referees. Also, you have trainers and producers that are in the performance center that work on NXT. Why, oh why, if you feel that you cannot bring up someone or you don't have someone on your staff currently, why not train them in the same exact way? Have them call matches in the PC. Have them do these types of things on 205 Live. I would have put Adnan on 205 Live or Main Event for 3 months, and then I would have brought him to Raw. But now you don't get to do that. So it doesn't make sense. And then to release Tom Phillips, why they took him off of, commentary, play-by-play for Raw, I have no idea. But yes, it is like Mike Adamle, except Mike Adamle was much worse. Adnan wasn't Mike Adamle bad, I don't think. But I mean, Adamle, oh God, that's a whole nother day. But yeah, I wouldn't have gotten rid of Tom Phillips at all. But, I mean, some of these moves just don't make sense. But listen, I just hope that Jimmy Smith, and like you said, we'll talk about it. I just hope that Jimmy Smith acclimates quickly, because in another 3 months, we're going to be doing the same thing.
Yep. And that's not to say anything against him, because I don't know him at all. And I'm sure he's going to do his homework. I'm sure he's going to study up on the new wrestlers that are out there that he hasn't watched and stuff. And I'm sure he will. And he'll try to do what he can. But it's, like I said, it just to me looks like they're just going from one into another. And 2 quick comments, and then we'll move on, because we'll talk about this again later. C made a comment about Pat, said Vince doesn't direct him. I will tell you, though, that he was on an interview show, and Pat came out and said that Vince told him, now this may be the only thing he told him, and he may not have told him in the headphones, but he told him never, ever to use the word pro wrestling. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. Isn't that weird? He said you cannot say pro wrestling in the microphone, and he said it. So there was a show where he said pro wrestling, and Vince was like, you can't do that. So that was one thing. And then what was the other comment I was going to respond to now? I'm in a mist. Well, it's come and gone. We'll get back to it. But yeah, it is what it, the other one was with Michael Cole. The other thing too, and I didn't know this either, Michael Cole plays a very large part in who gets these jobs. Very, very large part in who gets these announcer jobs. So that's another little tidbit to kind of consider as well. Michael Cole gets these guys in. So we'll see. I don't know. I just think you're going from one thing right to another, and it seems like they're very similar. You know, I don't know. What's the solution for this? Like Jeff said, train them better or bring in someone from the business. Bring in someone who is in pro wrestling. Done and done. They're going to know all the moves. They're going to know how to call the matches. They're going to know the business. They're going to know the people that are in the business. Bring in somebody that's inside wrestling.
Yep.
So, okay. All right. Up next, I believe we've got a little NXT. Yeah.
That's right.
What a show this NXT was. Fantastic NXT show. It's too bad Tazzy missed this. This was a really good show, man. Pay-per-view quality. I really loved it. And this match, let me tell you something, man. Karrion Kross is about as put over as Roman Reigns is, and that's saying something. Karrion Kross looks like he is just about unbeatable with that title. Finn gave him everything he had. And Kross at the very end just had that little bit of energy and just beat him down. Kind of almost a similar way he did the last time. And by the way, I love, and I told this to Jeff, how he pops up behind somebody when he's on the floor. That is so Jason, and he loves Jason, and I think that's fantastic. He literally will stand up and he'll just stand right behind the guy and look at, I love that. Karrion Kross is fantastic. How long he's going to be there, I don't know, but I think he's going to have that title for quite a while. And I'm probably sure that Kyle O'Reilly is going to be the guy to go up against him next because he's getting that build up as a babyface. But I don't think Kyle O'Reilly is going to have what it takes to unseat him. I don't know who can right now. Again, they're going to really need to build up an unbelievable babyface because this guy is just riding on top of the world. And I don't see him coming down from that pedestal anytime soon. But this was a tremendous match to end a really, really great NXT show.
Man, I'll go ahead and give you guys a spoiler. You're going to hear about the NXT show later. Just going to throw that out there. What a great show. What a way to end it. Man, Kross is just so dominant. God, he's so dominant. And again, you know, someone brought it up. J Hub said you have to bring someone from the main roster to take the title from Kross. I was going to say, do you have anyone currently on the NXT roster? And I think there are a couple guys. But do you have anyone on that roster right now that will be believable? It's not one thing. It's not, you know, we can say, oh, you know, someone can beat them. Yeah, I mean, obviously we know the endings are, you know, we've got that figured out in the wrestling business. But who looks believable?
Yep.
Beating him is the question.
Yep.
And whenever you make it believable, you don't insult our intelligence as wrestling fans. So is there someone believable? There are a couple people I can think of, Bronson Reed being one, Dexter Lumis being another, possibly Pete Dunne. Jeff Samuel just pointed that out. But you got to make it believable, you know.
Yep.
So, but kudos to his run, and I mean, dude is a mega star, and I cannot wait to see one day, whenever this is, I can't wait to see his entrance at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Whoever they bring him up to feud with, and I don't know whether they'll leave him. And see, to me, he should be just left the way he is. You don't need to change him. You don't need to change his gimmick. You don't need to change his entrance. He's fine. Don't adjust it on the fly and change him. Yeah, dude, whoever he comes up and goes against, I don't know, but man, that is going to be some exciting stuff. And yeah, could you imagine, guys? I mean, that entrance that we're seeing now, where he is in NXT, could you imagine that on a grand scale with all the effects, the fireworks and everything else? Oh my God. Amazing. This guy is fantastic. I absolutely love him. I think he's great. And I think he's going to be even greater as he goes on and as he grows and when he does eventually get to the main roster. And, that may come sooner than later because you can bet that Vince is looking at him as well, thinking that, he needs to come up. He absolutely needs to come up. So don't ever separate him from Scarlett. Yeah, Jesse, no, I agree. They're, and how great is that for them? They're a real couple, and they're going to get to work together for probably most of their careers. That's pretty awesome. And so, don't separate him from Scarlett. No, that would not make Jeff and I happy.
No.
Anyway, the only people I could see beating Cross are people from Raw or SmackDown. Be honest, I don't see any of the NXT wrestlers actually being able to beat him. Maybe Bobby Lashley, Drew Mac. I'll tell you one name: Walter. Could you imagine Walter and Karrion Kross?
Big Dan brought this up earlier, which and it's a good point. It makes a lot of sense. If and when Walter comes to the States, you put him in a match with Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed, and you make it a triple
threat.
And that way, obviously in that scenario, Bronson's going to eat the pin.
Yeah.
Because Walter's not taking a pin and Kross isn't either. But that way, it looks better. But then you already have a built-in feud now between Bronson Reed and Walter. So, man, I got to stop fantasy booking that one.
That's a good call. And the other thing is, and people are saying, Bliss fan saying Balor versus Walter. And where does Finn go now? That's another thing, too, is where does Finn go from here now? Because he's lost to Karrion twice. So where does he go? And, there were interviews with Finn talking about Bray. So is that a tease for him coming back? Is he done there now? Is he going to move on? We don't know. There's conflicting reports. Another report said no. There's nothing being said about that. He's gonna, but of course they're not going to say it. Coming up at SummerSlam, just saying, would be pretty. That would keep with the storyline. He's been gone since the SummerSlam, and then to return, there's that circle again. Just saying. Just saying. All right, let's move on. I think we got. Oh, this was cool. The Iiconics were on Busted Open, and it was a really good interview, talking about their release from WWE, and basically, the gist of it was that they had no idea. They weren't warned. There was no. You're not kind of doing okay. We're going to pull you off the show. You're going to go to catering for a while. We don't really have anything for you. That there was none of that. And they were completely both shocked that they were let go. They were both in other storylines and stuff at the time. You had that great promo that was cut. You had, of course, Billie Kay was doing the, Jeff and I talked about that, the humorous stuff that she was doing with the contracts and stuff like that, trying to get people to accept her as a tag team partner. And they said that all of a sudden, they were getting prepared to move on and keep on doing the kind of things that they were doing. And then boom, they just got a call and said, you're gone. So they also teased. Of course, they have to, because listen, you've got to self-promote. When you're a wrestler and you're in between gigs, you've got to self-promote. And they talked Impact and they talked AEW. I would love to see them in the women's division of Impact, but as I had said this before, I really am. I'm pretty sure. I'm probably like 70-30 sure that they're going to be in AEW. I just kind of have a feeling because I think the two of them together and what they could make that into, I think would just kind of fit maybe a little more with what AEW is doing than what Impact's doing. No slight on Impact, but Impact's got a really good women's division. These two going to what has kind of been an up-and-coming women's division with AEW is only going to make that better. So, but yeah, I mean, people are saying, James says, I miss them. Look, one of the things that people are saying is you let them go. And then your show on Monday is constant rematches of Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, just constant. And then you have the rematches of the tag team titles. So you have Tamina and Natty, who are great, by the way. I'm very happy that they have those belts, but they're constantly going up against Shayna and Nia. So would it have killed you to keep these guys and have them involved in that? If you were going to split them, have them get in some matches, or keep them together and have them as part of that whole tag team, thing. See, that's to me, that's the kind of stuff I just don't get. Obviously, someone didn't see it. Someone didn't see that they had any future or any talent. I beg to differ. And I think that where they end up, whoever gets them is going to be very lucky. And I think, are going to prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, I mean, what a crappy way to find out that what you had planned to do, you're not doing. Just to find out, just by a phone call. Really crappy. But, people lose jobs all the time, unfortunately. We enjoyed them, and unfortunately they lost their job, and it sucks because they were great. They should have never split them up in the beginning. I mean, that should have never happened, period. Like you said, I hope they end up in Impact. Having them and what they're trying to do right now with the Knockouts tag team titles, having them in that mix would be tremendous.
Yeah.
Would be absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
But I think they end up in AEW. I just do. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And for the person that didn't get it, and we know who that was, Kevin Dunn. If you don't mind, I don't know, maybe someone could put some clips together for you, or maybe you can watch some stuff on YouTube, but it's no longer 1999, it's 2021. And maybe you should catch up to the times or catch a bus out of town. Since you like to think about old stuff, I'll say catch a bus instead of catch a plane, because maybe that'll resonate with you a little bit more. You're an idiot for saying that you didn't get this because it was gold. So
I agree. Yeah. Conrad wants to know, why is Eva Marie back and not wrestling? That's another weird story too. Like, they're doing all these promos for her, right? Week after week after week, we're getting this whole evolution thing. She's going to be a manager. She's going to be a valet. They have no plans to have her wrestle. None. So now these big promotions going for Eva Marie, who was never considered really a great wrestler. She's a personality, but she was never really considered to be, and now she's not even going to wrestle. I don't know. I just don't know. C said AEW doesn't have a women's division. They have talented women, not a division. Watch when Sheeta loses the title Sunday. We won't see her again for a long time. Well, that goes without saying, especially what just happened with that. Yeah, you may not, which I hope that's not the case. But Big Dan says it should be Monday Night Rematch. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. Even if they're playing that out to wait for fans, boy, oh boy, are we going to have a lot of that. It's a long way to July 16th, guys. It's a month and a half. And if you're going to do another 6 shows and it's going to be all rematches, yike. It's going to get boring really, really quickly. So I hope that it changes after the pay-per-view. All right. Next up, we have New Japan talks with, yes, well, we were here already. This was Khan versus Khan. Yeah, so the rumor came down, and that's kind of where this all stemmed from. But the rumor came out a couple days ago saying that WWE was in talks with New Japan. And it kind of just came out of the blue. And, you guys, we talked about this already, and we talked about, the whole thing with Tony Khan and kind of going after the other Khan from WWE. But I guess at this point, Jeff, we'll talk a little bit about this. And I mentioned earlier that I think, and I'm pretty positive that this centers around Daniel Bryan. I'm pretty positive that it does. Daniel has been, talking, and I guess it's coming out saying that he would like to wrestle in New Japan. Now, that could have just been him saying that. It may not have been him saying to reporters that, yes, oh my God, my whole situation stems from the fact that I have to go to New Japan. But listen, we crossed this bridge before, Jeff. We had the Good Brothers kind of doing the same thing. Kind of saying that, you know what, we kind of want to be involved with New Japan a little bit. So that may have influenced where they went. And it could kind of be the same thing. And who knows? Daniel may be using some leverage here. He may be looking to try to get some more money, maybe looking to try to get a better schedule from WWE. Who knows? And maybe that's what it is. But I really think, like I said earlier, that there would be a big black eye if WWE loses Daniel Bryan, and especially if he goes down to Florida. That would be, that's not a Christian. That's not a Big Show. That is a dude who literally was one of your most popular faces that you have probably ever seen in a WrestleMania, and that build-up that he had and that whole yes movement thing. And man, oh man, if he skipped town, that's not a good look for Vince.
No, he's a guy that's got some mileage left, and you don't have to go back very far to remember that the biggest show, the flagship pay-per-view for WWE, he was in the main event for the title. So yeah, that would be, in my opinion, the biggest loss. Obviously, you could argue Moxley and all of that, and that's fine. But for me, if he were to jump ship and go to AEW, that would be, I don't want to say it'd be catastrophic, but it'd be ridiculous. It'd be a nice feather in the cap for AEW, and who knows, he may show up tomorrow night. Who knows? Yeah. But and it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Like I mean, I think a lot of people have kind of just said, well, he's just gonna go back to WWE. He's a WWE lifer. Sometimes the matchups and the money make a lot of difference. And if they give him a favorable schedule,
that's probably a big thing in his life, Jeff, because he's got a baby at home. Mm-hmm. And when you've got a kid at home, trust me, my daughters are grown now. Jeff's got younger kids. It really does change your life. And, you're trying to then build yourself around your family, and it's not so much around your career. It was okay when my kids weren't born, it was okay to go into a job and work and open to close. You didn't care. You're making money, and you see your wife when you see her and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you didn't mind it as much. When the kids come around, you want to start maneuvering your life around your children. And that's where he's at now. He wants to spend time with his daughter, and who can blame him? He's in the twilight of his career. There's no question. And again, I'll quote Mark Henry, because he said something really cool today too. And he said, there's two ways wrestlers can go when they get up in age. Either they're at a point where they have to do everything, take every job they can just to scrape by, or they can demand what they're going to get. Exactly. And he said that's the two ways you go. And Daniel's at a point where he can demand what he gets, And that's just the bottom line. Whoever's going to get him, I don't know, but I'm sure that a lot of this whole thing that WWE probably would never, ever, ever have considered, because they've never came off to me as a company that's going to consider doing co-promotions with someone else. It just never came to my mind, and I don't think it would have been a thought if this wasn't about Daniel. And now all of a sudden, it's getting people thinking a different way. All right. I think someone had let me see. There's a big question up here. I think we got, Jason Michael. I didn't tell you this, but the WWE releases, if helping more company promotions like AEW and Japan and the NWA and Impact to help the company more, or is it just me? Are you saying that because they're releasing, they're helping those companies more? Is that what you mean? Well, that it's more about helping the wrestlers, I think, themselves more, that there's just other places for them to go. It's good that's a good thing, that there isn't just one company around, that there are multiple other companies that are doing well, that they have choices where they can go. And I think that was one of the things when the releases happened, that some of the people were like, who was it? I can't remember. One of the wrestlers who is now in Impact, I don't remember which one it was. But he was coming out and saying, listen, this isn't the end, guys. This isn't the end. I started over, and look what I'm doing. So I think that's a good thing. So to answer your question, if that was your question, and I think I kind of understood it that way, then that's a good thing, that there are more options for them. C says it is based on kids, which AEW doesn't cater for in the same way. Yeah, AEW's more. Yeah, I can get behind that. Watching the episodes that I've watched, I think they do go after a different demographic. I don't think they're really going after the kids watching the show. No, I agree. And WWE, I think, does. So yeah. I do agree with you. I think that they're a little more kid-friendly. I think that, kids go into shows, especially younger kids. I think it's it's probably a cutoff up to maybe age 10, 11 or so, 12. I've seen kids that were in their teens that were at AEW events, but I agree. I do agree. I think that the kids, probably latch on to WWE a little bit easier. Also said, I don't really think Daniel Bryan is much of a needle mover as people think. Him not doing the yes thing, etc., was boring in WWE to a lot of fans. It probably will be in AEW as well, the popularity. I think the only reason I think that is because I think Vince just really likes him. And when Vince picks a guy that he really likes, I think it's hard for him to swallow him going. So that's kind of what Bliss Fan says. He's not a draw. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I don't agree with that. I think he can still be. Let's put it this way. He's a bigger draw than Christian, and Christian's over there now. At this point in their careers, I think he's a bigger draw than Sting. Sting is a huge name, but Sting, they all know, is limited. He can't do what he used to do. So I don't agree with that. Jesse Callen saying, anybody new here, make sure you hit it. Yes, please do. If you are new, please subscribe to our channel. We'd really, really appreciate that. Also throw up a like on the video if you like what you see. And there's our brand new spanking new logo that Jeff worked so hard on today. Yes.
Did you check the private chat?
I did not. Let me look at it real quick while that logo is up there. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good, man. Okay. All right. So we are going to everybody's favorite section of the show.
All right, here we go. Here's the music.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
We are at the airing of grievances section of the show. So many people love this section of the show. It's so funny. Big Dan's always putting out little promos and teasers for airing of grievances. So this week, it's Jeff's turn. Jeff's got some grievances to go on. I will play off of that. But Jeff, the stage is yours. Air out those grievances, man.
Oh, man. Okay, so here, I had written something down, and I don't think I want to read it. I think I want to just go off the cuff. Wrestling fans, it is unfortunate when people get released or fired from their jobs, especially when we've seen a lot of these releases from WWE with some of the wrestlers and all that. And it's an unfortunate situation. However, if you don't watch WWE, why in the blue hell are you tweeting out or talking about, oh, I can't believe they got rid of so and so? Were you hyping them up when they were on the roster? Oh, no, you weren't. Oh, I get it. You don't like a company, so you just crap all over them, and anything that they do that looks a little bit negative or is negative, you just gotta dig that in, even though you don't watch it. There are some people out there that will wait to see negative WWE or negative AEW news just so they can share their opinions, just to crap all over it because you know what? I'm with AEW or I'm with WWE, so I just gotta crap on the other company because I'm not a person that can stay away from stuff I don't like. I gotta have an opinion on something I don't even know anything about. Now listen, I understand people's outrage over some of the things that that WWE has done with their releases and the reason and the logic behind some of it, which there doesn't seem to be a lot at times. But if you don't watch something, don't just don't just stay away from it. There's enough negativity on social media, and you don't have to add to it by being a complete jackass. The other thing that I want to say, my second point, if you're an AEW fan, you might want to brace for impact right now. You might want to get into the fetal position because I'm here to keep them honest right now. Okay. One, it shouldn't have taken you as long as it did. It shouldn't have taken you from last night when you know that you had a commentator say something ridiculously racist to fire him because it caught fire on Twitter. Shouldn't have taken that. That's number one. Number two, Tony Khan. Let me be careful because I know he's gone after small YouTube channels before. But see, this time we're just saying a name. We're not using your content or anything that you pay billions for that you put out there. So we're not talking about that. We're just talking about you. I want to say something, but this is a PG stream, so I'll clean it up. Grow the F up. How about that? Let your balls drop and grow the hell up. Because what you're doing is you look so unprofessional. And I get it. AEW is the cool kid on the block. We're edgy. We're cool. We curse on TV. We're not made for kids. That's great. I love it. But act like an adult. Billionaires don't move how you move. Billionaires move in silence. They make statements with action, not hopping in front of a camera and acting like a 12-year-old because you didn't get a toy or a game or something that you really wanted. Or, somebody else is looking at that new pair of J's that you want from the store and, they can't have those J's. I had my eyes on those first. Listen, money talks, man. And once you start acting like an adult, maybe more people will take you seriously. But until then, if I were you, I'd take a nice big tall glass of shut the hell up, sit down and let somebody else handle your business, because right now you just look real dumb. And you look real childish. And I really want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I like a lot of stuff AEW does. I'm one of those weird people that actually enjoys both shows, and I don't have to crap on one or the other. But I want to see a lot less Tony Khan, if I'm being honest, because this just gives people that don't like AEW more fuel. That's all it does. And, you've got wrestlers coming out today talking about, oh, well, do you hear us now? Yeah, we hear you. You sound real childish. So knock it off. I get it. You want to take that jab, but it's about time to lay off of the let me play a heel on TV kind of deal. It worked for Vince back in the 90s, but this ain't the 90s anymore. And the last thing I'll say, I didn't consult with the focus group for my airing of grievances this week. I'll do that next week.
Oh, yeah, look. I get he's a fan. I do, and I could see that. I could see that he's a fan of the business. Does that make you the person who should be on camera all the time? No. And again, like Jeff said, this has been done, been there, done that. Vince, look, no matter how much you may like him or may hate him, he got people over, and he played that character well. Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't have been Stone Cold Steve Austin without Vince McMahon. And there have been other wrestlers too. So, is Tony trying to do that? I don't know, but it doesn't work. Vince is a big dude. Let's not forget that. Vince was a big guy. He filled out that suit, man. When you saw Vince put on wrestling tights, Vince looked like he belonged in a ring. Tony, and far be it from me to say anything about anyone's appearance or anything, but Tony is a small dude. And there's no way he looks threatening to anyone. But yeah, I agree. Yes, I watch both shows as well, like Jeff does. And I enjoy both things. There have been shows that I have watched from them that I have been very entertained. And on the other hand, there have been shows that I watch that I sit there and I fast forward through. Now WWE is the same way. I said last night, SmackDown was fantastic. And on Monday, honestly, and I told Jeff this, it was the first Monday Night Raw I didn't watch. I literally put a movie on and I watched a film because I saw the card and I was like, I can't deal. I can't deal with these rematches and stuff like that. So I'm not coming from this I'm not an AEW hater. I watch the show too, and I enjoy the show when it's good. But again, like Jeff said, there's things that people can do in front of a camera, and there's things that they really just shouldn't do. And I think he kind of needs to just back down, like he said. Just let your people do their jobs. Let them go out. Let them be the center of attention. Let them garner what they need to garner, and you don't need to be a part of it. So yeah, no, I agree. And the wrestling fan thing, I've echoed that before. I don't get that. I don't get that stuff. I really just don't. You have such a limited time on this earth that why you would frustrate yourself by watching things you hate just boggles my mind.
And
boggles my mind.
Joe, not even watching it. They don't watch it.
Right, not watching it and tweeting about it. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. That just blows my mind. Like you just that's just sad. Like you've got to be really bored in your life to do that kind of stuff where you just sit on social media and bitch about everything. Like you just go from one topic to another. You might see a topic come up about climate change. And you'll be like, you know what? I think that climate change shit is a bunch of crap. I'm going to go and I'm going to tweet about that and think that this is ridiculous. That's what they must do. They must just sit there on Twitter or whatever, Facebook or whatever, all day long and do nothing but just complain about everything. Like, how sad must your life be? If that's what you're doing, like, you get no joy out of anything you do. Nothing. So, my God, isn't there anything in your life, whether it's reading a book, eating a meal, taking a walk with a dog, whatever, there must be something you enjoy. And if you don't, oh boy, you have a lot more deep problems than worrying about Raw or AEW. So, that just blows my mind, man. Blows my mind.
They have this really cool invention called Netflix. And
like, watch a movie. There must be something. Like, there literally has to be a TV show. I don't know. Are these people getting their shows canceled? Like, do they pick a show, watch a couple episodes, and they're like, oh my God, they canceled my show? Like, is that what it is? Are they just getting like, is everyone against them? Is everyone in this whole world against them? Like, they pick something they like, and I don't know. They go to like McDonald's, and maybe McDonald's takes something that they loved off their menu. Maybe they like the McRib, and they only get it one time a year, and they're really pissed off. And then they go and actually, damn it, McDonald's took the McRib away. Like, I don't know. Is that what it is? Nothing makes these people happy. Nothing. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Man.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
you know what it's time for, right?
I think it's debate time, is it not?
It is. So let's ring the bell.
Here we go. It is debate time. It is time for Sell or No Sell. Topic number 1. WWE putting Jimmy Smith on commentary is just like the Adnan Burke hiring. And yes, we have segued into our debate segment. We do this a lot. So if you see something and it looks kind of like, well, yeah, you talked about this, we do that for a reason. Just letting you know, a little secret. Okay. Jeff, go ahead, man. Sell or no sell?
I love it. As much as I don't want to say that, I think it's just like it. Honestly, I really do. I think the difference here is he comes from MMA. So maybe there's a little bit of maybe he can transfer some of that to wrestling. But the fact that the man has admitted himself that he has not watched wrestling since Abdullah the Butcher and some of the other people that he named just scares the crap out of me. And I really, really hope that this lasts longer than what Adnan Burke did. I mean, he's been doing some work on NXT, so that's good. But I think it's a lot like that. So.
Yeah, I have to agree. Selling this for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, I listen, no knock on him, and I'm certainly not going to sit here from my position and say that the guy is not good at what he does, because from everyone I've heard that watches MMA, he is very good at what he does. He has a show on Sirius Radio that people love. So he is very good at MMA, but that's the whole thing. MMA is not wrestling. Two different things. So, and like Jeff said, the fact that he said he doesn't watch, and he hasn't been a fan of it since he was very young and remembers these older wrestlers. Well, that's great. But, do you know Roman Reigns? Do you know the Usos? Do I go on and on and on. And if not, how is that so different from what we got with Adnan Virk? Sure, he's got a presence about him, and like Jeff said, he did NXT, so that's a good thing. But it is the same thing. It really is, to me, the same thing. You're not bringing someone in who is versed in the business. And again, Jeff made this point earlier. Train them a little bit. Put them on another show. Let them learn. Put them on a 205 Live or a WWE. What's that other one that's on Hulu? I always forget the name of it. Put them on Main Event. Put them on something else and let them learn. Don't shove them right into the job. This poor guy has probably, since he was announced, been studying every single wrestler that he had to get to know. And I'm sure he's doing that. But how can you give him just less than a week to do all that, and yet then learn all of the moves, learn all of that kind of stuff? It's just not going to happen. So, and Azan, it's not that we're not giving him a chance. I just think that you went from one person right to another, and it's the same thing. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting different results.
Now, what I will say is this, Joe, before we go on to the next topic. Unless they've been prepping him behind the scenes since they've hired Adnan. Maybe they know, maybe they've been doing this, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what they've been doing. I hope so. Maybe they've been doing that since he's been working in NXT anyway, knowing his background. So, hopefully, I want it to work because I don't want to have a new commentary crew in 6 months.
Yeah, that's not going to help anything. I agree. Who said McAfee works out great? Yeah, McAfee works out great, but he came from a position where he was a wrestling fan. So he knew about wrestling. He had just done all these things, these stints with NXT. He knows about wrestling. So that's the difference there. But yeah, I don't want him to fail. I hope he's great. I don't want to see a revolving door of announcers keep going in, going out, going in, going out, going in. It's not good for the show. Right. And Raw can't afford it. If there's a show that can't afford that, it's Raw. They certainly can't afford it. So they need to get settled and get settled soon and settle into what it is that show wants to be. So yeah. All right. What is up next?
Oh man, New Japan partnering with WWE is better than the other current partnerships.
Wow, this is a tough one because, the partnerships they have now, of course, the stuff they're doing with AEW, the stuff they're doing with Impact. Now, I like the stuff that they've done with Impact. I like seeing, ELP on Impact. I like seeing Finjuice on Impact. I think that their matches were good, and I think the stories they had them in were good. So, would it be better? Is it better? Well, would it be? Probably, because of the amount of wrestlers that WWE has on both shows and the names that they have, they could probably get much better matchups maybe. So from that standpoint, partnering with WWE, would it be better? Well, like people said in the chat earlier, it's going to get them out more. There's no, the WWE's reach is just bigger. That's the bottom line. Their reach is just bigger. And, who wouldn't want to see some of these fantasy matchups with WWE? So is it better than other? I think it's more of a wait and we'll have to see. But would it be better than the current ones? Even though I like Impact, Impact is just a small fry in a big pond. I love the show, but they're not up to the level of AEW and WWE, unfortunately. Not with the what they're putting on, but just the fact of the people that they're getting out to and things like that. So, is it better? Yeah, I think it probably would be. I think it probably would be. We'll have to see. And for New Japan, who just said that? Trex Edie said for New Japan business-wise, yes. Jesse says yes. Sell it complete. It benefits both companies. Yeah, I mean, you can't deny the fantasy matchups. You just can't. But then again, imagine Elias defeating New Japan. Yeah, you can get some, and let's hope that they would position it well. Like Jeff was talking about, the Bullet Club and the whole thing with Roman and the family. So let's hope that they would position it that way. But yeah, so if we can send guys like Cross to New Japan, Cross would be well received there. That's typically AEW's fan base. WWE can potentially tempt those fans away from AEW with stars being highlighted. Azan says, I feel bad for the women. New Japan want to go to USA. Well, yeah, they're doing a show in the United States. So sell or no sell, I'm sitting on the fence. It's a tough call, James. I agree. Yeah. I agree. But go ahead, Jeff. What's your take?
Oh goodness. Like I said, this is tough. Azan brought up a good point earlier. I know that New Japan works with Stardom, but currently New Japan doesn't have women in there. So it's a beneficial relationship, just like it is right now, but minus the women. So if you're going to do this, can you find a way for Stardom, I think is who they're working with, to be able to make this an all-inclusive partnership, make this a huge, make this a big thing. The fact that WWE could send people over and vice versa, the benefit I think is, let's say for whatever reason, WWE has someone and they're just not using them on WWE TV. Wouldn't you just love to see, instead of them on main event, wouldn't you love to see Mustafa Ali in New Japan?
Yeah, right.
Or Ricochet. Or if you want to go, name-wise, how about Jeff Hardy? These are the kinds of things you can do, and it's enticing because it's WWE, and these are well-known names. That's not to say that AEW doesn't have that same star power. Obviously, they can send Kenny, they can send Moxley, they can send Jericho. They have a lot of people they can send too. But again, it goes back to who's the more established company right now. And for that reason, even though it pains me to do it, because Lord knows I want to see, I really want to see this work out with Impact, but I gotta say I'm selling this.
I love it
because I just feel like it will be from a business standpoint. If we're just looking at business, looking at dollars, I mean, are we gonna say that WWE, even though you may feel however you want to feel about it, they're going to bring more eyes, they're going to bring more dollars. So
yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. That's a tough call, though. That was good. That was a good topic. That was a tough one to call. All right, topic number 3. Ring of Honor's women's tournament is a blueprint for an all-women's show. Very interesting this got brought up, because you know who threw her hat into this was Sasha Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha Banks tweeted out about her having a vision about an all-women's show. You know what, guys? It might be time. It really might be time. And the women's tournament, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I got to sell it. I have to sell it. How many times, guys, have we seen from week to week where women are main eventing programs, and it's a good thing. And we are seeing more and more women main eventing big events, and it's a good thing. More and more, we can say that some of these women's matches are mind blowing. That comes to mind. That Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match still, I can remember sitting there in awe watching that. And I think it's great how far they have come. And these women's divisions in these shows that we watch have never been better. And the fact that Ring of Honor is doing a championship tournament now, we kind of saw something similar in Impact. So they kind of were starting to go in that direction. And I think it's only going to get better. And I'll tell you what, if you're a company that's going to want to get viewers, I'll tell you what, if you're Vince and you saw that tweet from Sasha, you go and you have a talk with Sasha and you say, you know what? Come to me with I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your ideas, because the first company that goes and puts on a woman's show, that's a big deal. That is a big deal, guys. So let's wait and see. But I'm really loving it, and I think it's got to happen. So absolutely selling this. Go ahead, Jeff.
I love it. I gotta sell it, and I know Bliss fan is saying we don't need to segregate the men and the women. That's not what we're saying. Mm-hmm. This would be a show that would just be completely women. It's not taking them off of any other shows. This is just spotlighting women, period. Yep. Because let's be honest, the men have been doing it since wrestling has been created. They always get spotlighted. The fact that we could say that less than 10 years ago was the first main event between women at a WrestleMania, that just goes to show that that women's wrestling has evolved, and it's always been evolving. It just needed the time and to be taken more seriously by people, and I'm so glad that that's what's happening now. They should absolutely have a show that showcases them that way. And I look at a company like AEW, and we've talked ad nauseum about the women's division there. Think if instead of Elevation, it was just a show focused on women, and they really built the storylines for all the women. And then you come into Dynamite and you can say, okay, well, on Elevation, let's just say that's the name of the show. On Elevation, this is what happened. So, my thing is you got to build up storylines. And a lot of times, let's just be honest, a lot of times these shows are male dominated. And the storylines that we get, we might get a 10-minute, we might get 10, 15 minutes throughout the whole night that actually does something to progress a storyline. Whereas if you had an all-women show, you could supplement that time. Use your women's show. Let's say it's an hour long. You use your women's show to really develop your storylines, and then you continue those storylines on your Raw or your SmackDown or your Dynamite. That's how I would do it, but I absolutely think it needs to be done. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, C brought up WWE did Evolution. It was one of the worst drawing pay-per-views, ticket sales and viewers-wise. I want Evolution too. It's brilliant, but as a weekly show, I think fans would get bored. And maybe the solution that Jeff came up with is the best thing to do. So maybe don't do a weekly show, but maybe have, maybe have a monthly show and like you said, develop the storylines through the rest of their programming and then end up going to a monthly thing like the men's pay-per-views are. You have one a month. So maybe when you're starting off, have a women's pay-per-view once every other month or once, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to go the exact same route the men do. And it may not make sense to do it that way. BlissFan says like a women's version of 205 Live. Yeah, I think that's kind of what he's saying. Conrad said, what's your quick vision, Joe and Jeff, for an all-women's show? I want good storylines. Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've always been a storyline guy, so you're going to win me over with that kind of thing. But, a lot of them have established talent. So, I mean, those of you in the chat that are you all are big fans of Alexa's because of the whole thing that she's been doing with Bray and the Fiend storyline. So, yeah, why not? And like Jeff was saying about the New Japan combination and the guys that don't get a chance. What about the women who don't get on TV? Nikki Cross, we just saw her on TV for the first time in a long time. And what did she do? She came out and she avoided being pinned in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. They've got to have a better way to use her than that. I mean, it was almost comedy where she came out and she's cheering, yay, she didn't pin me. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, I think they could find better things to do with them. And that's what you could do. You could develop the storylines a little bit more because, and it's no offense to any of them, this has been a male-dominated sport, like Jeff said. And the men are going to get the time. That's just how it goes. And so you can't give as much attention to the women in the women's storylines. So in that respect, I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. That's our debate segment for the week. We hope you enjoyed that. And I appreciate a lot of you commenting and giving us your thoughts about all of it as well. So what have we got next, Jeff?
We've got what to watch for.
There's a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
There's a pay-per-view on Sunday. Well, we hope that that those of you who are going to watch, of course, obviously, we hope you enjoy it. I think they're doing it in theaters again. I'm not sure which theater company it is, but I think they're showing it in some select theaters and stuff like that. So people that are going and doing that, that's cool. Hello, the Coog. Good evening. And for those of you who are going to watch it, there are a lot of good matches that are on this card. Omega versus Orange Cassidy versus Pac. I don't think either one of those guys is going to take the belt away from Omega, not at this point in time, but who knows? You got I think the big one a lot of people are going to be watching is the women's title, Hikaru Shida and Dr. Britt Baker. Of course, a lot of people thinking that Britt is gonna get that title off of her. Cody Rhodes, Anthony Ogogo, Hangman Page, Brian Cage, the Big Casino Battle Royal, and Miro, Lance Archer. What else we got? Inner Circle, of course, the Stadium Stampede. If they lose, they break up. Sting, Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Young Bucks versus Moxley and Eddie Kingston. So there's good matchups here. It should probably be an entertaining show. Jeff, I mean, anything that catches your eye, like really, I mean, the women's match for me, the women's title match is the one that's really got me. The Stadium Stampede, I kind of think I know that this is the way they're breaking up Inner Circle, and I think that that's why they're doing it. It's pretty obvious. I think that the Pinnacle is there to go on as that new group, and they're going to break up the Inner Circle, and I think that's why they're doing it. The other one that kind of intrigues me a little bit is the Sting Darby Allin thing against Ethan and Scorpio Sky. Ethan and Scorpio Sky make a pretty good team. They're both good heels. They're playing that role really well, and whenever you get to see Sting in a match, it's always cool because you don't know when and where it'll be the last time you see him. But what intrigues you about Double or Nothing? And again, tell us in the chat, guys. Those of you who are watching, what are you most looking forward to on the pay-per-view? So let us know.
Man, I'll tell you. I mean, I want to see. I feel like we're going to get some new signees. I feel like we're going to get somebody new. Somebody big tomorrow. Whether that's
mentioned Andrade.
Yeah, whether that's Andrade, whether that's Daniel Bryan, who I mean, who knows? But two things that really stand out to me. One is Sheeta versus Britt Baker. That's one I'm probably most looking forward to because I want to see what happens. You know, I want to see if they put the belt on Britt and where that goes.
Yep.
The other thing, quite honestly, I'm actually looking forward to the Stadium Stampede match.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, you know, I kind of feel like at this point, does Inner Circle self-implode during this match? Or, you know, what happens during this match? I think, you know, I agree with you. I think that this is the way that they're going to break them up. And if we're being honest, the Inner Circle did exactly what they were supposed to do. They established Sammy. They had a nice heel run. Now you've got this up-and-coming group who should replace them. Now let's see Ortiz and Santana go and start making some waves in the tag team division. They're way too talented to not be in the title picture. Let's see what Sammy does in terms of a singles run. I want to see what he does. And what do we get going forward from Jericho? You know, like that's what I want to see. This match has a lot of implications, and I'm actually really excited to see what happens with this match. I mean, the last one that we got was bonkers, so I can only imagine that this was going to probably be as crazy, if not crazier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really really excited to see what. Jericho's going on tour. That's right. So
Yeah. So he'll be gone for a while.
yeah, he'll be gone.
Yeah, you kind of knew that was going to come at some point because that's what he does. So you kind of knew he was going to end up taking that break. And, of course, now that they're allowed to do that, bands are kind of being allowed to go back out on tour in the United States. So, yeah. I think, what does he say? Danhausen and Andrade debut tomorrow and Friday. You think Danhausen's going to AEW? Oh, that's interesting. I think he's in Ring of Honor now, but, yeah, I mean, you never know. He's popular. Good Lord. He was interviewed by Conan O'Brien, actually.
Yeah.
For goodness sake. So, yeah. Big Dan says, oh, God, I have this image in my head of Daniel Bryan debuting tomorrow, Khan doing the DX crotch chop, basically saying, no New Japan for you, you Connecticut Khan. Oh, God. Oh, man. Good, Dan. So, let us know. I mean, look, it looks like the card looks good. And it looks like it's going to be a fun pay-per-view. So, again, for those of you guys who are watching it, we know our friend Conrad will be watching. We know he'll be watching with intent. Again, we just hope that you enjoy it, enjoy the wrestling. And we'll see if there are some reveals and some new people that come in. That's always fun to see happen. So we'll see if it could be like an Andrade or someone else that might show up at the pay-per-view. We'll see. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's definitely what's to watch for. That is happening, of course, tomorrow night. And again, for those of you that are going, however, you're going to go and watch it, enjoy it. Enjoy it. All right. I think we're at our new segment, Jeff.
Yeah, let's book a wrestler. We didn't even talk about who we were booking this week. So
we did not.
No one knows except me and you, and that's kind of where we like it to be. You know, we want to do some intriguing things. So I guess I can stop hiding. I guess I can stop hiding this now.
Oh, look at that. It's EC3. Well, this is an interesting choice because, he came on with all the promos that he was doing last year around this time, around Slammiversary is when we started seeing all this stuff. And we saw the 3 and we saw, the promos that were being cut and things like that. And then, of course, we got his appearance at Slammiversary. But little did we know, he wasn't signed with Impact permanently. He was signed he ended up going to Ring of Honor. So, so again, this goes out to you guys as well. So a wrestler like EC3, how would you book EC3 if you were able to do this? So Jeff, go ahead. I'll let you start. How would you book? I think I have a pretty good idea of how I think I would book this guy, but go ahead.
First off, let me say, if I didn't have, well, I don't know, maybe if I didn't have Roman Reigns or Kenny Omega, this guy would be my champion bar none. And I book him as such. I mean, I've got to have him at the top of the card. Like, I have to. The control your narrative stuff, all the videos that he did leading up to, you know, his brief stint in Impact and eventually in Ring of Honor, that stuff was so good. So good. So I've got to have him being the leader of a movement. I want to see graffiti. I want to see violence. I want to see, you know, just random attacks on different people that it makes no sense whatsoever. That's what I want to see from him. I want to see him controlling the minds of people as he's controlling the narrative. That's what I want to see from EC3. And I'm going to put rocket boosters on him. I'm shooting him straight up to the top of the card. And, you know, the first thing that I would do is I would have him lose on the first try. And that loss happens on the technicality or something, you know, something different. But I would have that happen and him being fueled by the fact that he doesn't get to control that narrative and be the champion. Because being the champion means that he has control over everything, the entire landscape, the entire company, and everyone's going to fit into the narrative. And have him chase that champion and beat the absolute crap out of that champion brutally, and just have him go on a long run as a champion. This dude is so talented. When allowed to do what's in his bag, and that's this control your narrative, you know, kind of this kind of persona, this fits him perfectly. So that's what I would do.
It's funny because we're still seeing the ramifications of what he did with Moose to this day. Like that was really kind of brilliant. If he and Moose worked this out and they had this kind of planned ahead of time as to what they were going to do with Moose down the road, pretty brilliant to have that happen, because Moose never, regressed from that. He kind of shot straight up from that point. So yeah, I would agree. And I think the chat is too. A lot of people are saying, well, Ricky says, give him a better character and entrance. EC3 should Ring of Honor TV and then Ring of Honor World Champ. So you're talking about pushing him to the championship title. James Chadwick says he kind of reminds me of a cult leader. So I think they're on the same page. And I think I'm on the same page with it too. Because, yes, I can see, he showed me something when he did those promos. And he showed me something when he got into the head of a guy who you probably didn't really think anybody could get into the head of. At that point in time, Moose had the title. And, he was a kind of pompous guy. Didn't really care about anybody but himself. And he got in his head. So yes, I can see this guy starting what could be a stable of sorts, almost like what Eric Young has in Violent by Design. What I'd love to see happen, and I don't know the status of his contract, so you guys in the chat may know that better than I do, but if he's not in a long-term contract with Ring of Honor and he could kind of bounce back and forth, I'd love to see, if Moose does decide to go to sign elsewhere, I'd love to see him take Moose's place and come back.
Yep.
And then if he does, then yes, he would have to be, pushed. Could you imagine if the title ends up on Sami Callihan And then EC3 comes along, and that's the next big feud we get Sami Callihan and EC3 in a feud. I mean, the mind games would be off the charts between both of those guys. But yes, I didn't get to see much of this dude when he was in WWE, and he didn't get really much of a chance at all when he was there. He was in catering for a lot of his time there. And so obviously they didn't see anything in him, which is fine. Again, some people just do not work on some shows and they will work on others. But I think he is what I saw from him before Slammiversary, and then what I've been seeing from him in Ring of Honor. I think he can be a person that you can build up to be a very strong heel character. He can have a stable of people with him to make him a little bit stronger. Maybe he may need, and you know what, he's a good talker, but maybe you could even have someone even kind of be a little bit of a mouthpiece for him. Somebody maybe a little more boisterous. He's a little more kind of like laid back, scary, like kind of talking like
he's calculated.
Yeah, he's a little more reserved. So you might have somebody a little more animated be maybe a mouthpiece for him. But yeah, I can certainly see him being a part of that. And like I said, I would love to see him go back to Impact in that same kind of a role that he was in before. I'd be all for that. Big Dan says he shows up in multiple companies dressed in a hoodie that conceals his face, sort of along the lines of Pillman in 1996. Keep people guessing. Then at Slammiversary, he aligns with VBD. That's cool. EC3 is a new member of the Hurt Business by MVP turning on Lashley, and he beats Lashley as WWE champion. Ricky Glow says, okay. Yeah, I mean, he could kind of be a hired gun to kind of go after, a person like that. If he turns on Bobby, yeah, I mean, MVP can turn people on a dime. So that's not out of the realm of possibility. It can be a Terminator thing like Goldberg's run. Again, yeah, I could see that too. I believe he's still recovering. Someone said recovering something. Recovering. Oh, is he out? Okay.
Yeah, because
Cool.
I think he confronted Flip Gordon.
Okay.
Mistaken.
What was the real reason WWE didn't use him? I think it's the real reason that they don't use people at all is I think they just don't see. I think they just don't see it in them. I think they just don't have anything for them. They don't see a storyline build. And remember, guys, they talk to these people behind the scenes. Creative talks to the talent. And if they're not getting, they'll let the talent give you ideas. But if they're not getting something from the ideas that the talent are giving them, then they don't really pay it any mind. If they don't see it, they're just not going to use the person. So EC3 with Don Callis is Big Dan. How about Selena for a mouthpiece of EC3? Okay. Yeah.
Here's where I would push back on that, because think about a guy that this type of style. I'm not saying that he's this guy, but give him a promo style like Jake the Snake.
Oh, okay.
Jake the Snake didn't need to be.
No,
he didn't need to yell at you. He just looked at you and scared the hell out of you. So I think, like this could be, if you kind of morph that into today,
yep.
Who knows?
Good point. Yeah, very true. Very true. All right. Well, there you go. So EC3 was our wrestler of the week. It was a little bit of a mystery, but that was kind of cool. You guys played along. We appreciate that. So there you go. So EC3 was our pick for this week. Again, you guys can send us over ideas. Who do you want us to book? Let us know for future shows. Throw it up in the comments, wherever you want to put it. You can put it in the comments of the video. You can, tweet it out on Twitter, whatever you want to do. Just add us and just let us know. You can even put hashtag book a wrestler, like you see it up on the screen, and send it our way. And we will certainly look it over and consider it for a future show. All right. I think we're on the favorite moments of the week, Jeff.
Yes, we are. We are on favorite week.
It's time for the Insider's favorite moments of the week. So, as always, we will start at number 3. So, Jeff, what was your number 3 favorite moment of the week?
Oh, Joe, my number 3 favorite moment of the week. NXT. Good God, it was such a good show from top to bottom.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, it really was amazing. So, wow. Yeah. I mean, just what a great show from top to bottom. And the main event was just spectacular. So,
Yeah, absolutely. My number 3, and some people would probably have thought this would be my number 1, but Rosemary got a pin. Rosemary got a pin. Right? She got a pin over Deonna Purrazzo, and that earned her a title shot. So look at that. Lo and behold, Rosemary, who hasn't been in the singles picture for quite a while, she's been with Decay, goes out, gets a pin of Deonna, and now, excuse me, she's got a shot at Deonna Purrazzo for that title belt. Now, some people are going to say, well, there's no way she's going to win. Don't be so sure about that. We'll see. Stranger things have happened, but don't be so sure about that as to where some of these storylines are going to go with these women. So I'm super happy with that, and I think it was great to see her. I was shocked because I didn't see that coming. I would have thought, okay, someone's going to go in there. The way it was ending, you just knew someone was going to go in there and steal a pin. But I really didn't think it would be her. So everything is done for a reason, guys and gals. Everything is done for a reason. So, yeah, that was my number 3. I loved it. Go ahead, Jeff. What's your number 2?
My number 2 for a week actually goes back to last night, and that was Sheeta getting her moment in the sun. Getting that new belt, although it looks very much like the old one, just a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger.
But yeah, I was happy to see her have that moment in the sun. I feel horrible that a stupid jackass took away from that moment by being a stupid jackass. So I'm just going to put positivity out there and say that I'm really happy that she got her moment in the sun. And I really hope that she retains tomorrow, even though I really think Britt Baker's the next champion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just progressed that way. And yeah, I think so too. All right, my number 2. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Everybody's got a price. Everybody's got to pay. The $1 Million Man always gets his way. It is so cool to see. And again, this is why when WWE brings back legends, not Goldberg, but brings back legends, I'm always thrilled to see them. And for me, $1 Million Man, literally as a kid watching wrestling, one of my most hated heels ever. That guy was on my hit list of, oh my God, I hate this dude. And now when I looking back and I see him come and he does that promo with Cameron Grimes, which has been fantastic, by the way. And I see him come into the ring and he comes in and he's looking like he's going to, it's looking like he's giving a little love to Cameron Grimes. And it looks like it's going to kind of go that way. And then LA Knight comes down and the whole thing just implodes. And at the very end, he looks at him and he's like, yep, nope. And then he just gives it to Cameron Grimes. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think it's fantastic. Bliss Van saying the $1 Million Championship will come to NXT. I agree. I think that's on its way. They're talking about it. So I agree. Maybe LA Knight's going to have it. Maybe $1 Million Man will be there for a little bit, which I'm perfectly all right with. Ted DiBiase is one of the best heels that I've ever watched. And I really think that he is fantastic. I marked out when I saw him go to NWO. I love the dude. I just always have. And when, we talk about this, when a heel can get you to hate them, like you guys all hate Kenny. Like you guys all hate Kenny. When they can do that, no matter what you say about it, they're doing their jobs. They are absolutely doing their jobs. And Ted DiBiase, oh my God, I could not stand the dude. And whenever he'd win a match, I'm like, oh, it took a little piece of my heart. But I loved it. Whatever NXT bringing him down there, I think is absolutely fantastic. So awesome stuff. Loved it. Let's see. Eric Travis is saying 3 guys good on the mic: Ted DiBiase, LA Knight, Cameron Grimes. Holy cow, Grimes is growing on me. I hate LA Knight because he's annoying heel. Not supposed to like him. Well, that's why you'd probably see Ted team up with him.
Yep.
Because that'll make it even more. The Kook says number 1 Tony Khan's promo on Nick, the Connecticut Con Man. Wow, Moose and Sammy fighting after their match with the Good Brothers to face Kenny. Sheeta getting the new belt. Crowd back at Daly's place, says the Kook. Yeah, all great stuff. All great stuff. Jason says, what did Jason say? Question: what if LA Knight wins the belt and he's the ringmaster with Ted DiBiase, and this makes Cameron go broke and turn into Broken Cameron? Oh, man. Conrad says, Joe and Jeff, I found that promo from the Blade Runners. I apologize for my immaturity at laughing at that. Oh, yeah, that promo that you were talking to us about the other night. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I watched, side note, but I did watch the Dark Side of the Ring.
I still have to watch that. Yeah, I still have to watch that. I haven't seen it. I saw the biography, but not that one yet.
Whoa is all I can say.
Yeah, I've heard. Big Dan said Ted DiBiase is also one hell of a good human being, but his gimmick fit the 80s like the big cell phone and Bird vs. Bad did. Yeah, it really did. All right, Jeff, what's your number 1?
Number 1, I telegraphed this earlier in the week. I knew it was going to be my number 1, but W. Morrissey's promo.
Oh, yeah.
Man, formerly known as Big Cass. Dude was just, oh my God. It was one of those moments where it was more shoot and just being real than cutting a wrestling promo. He spoke from the heart. He dropped facts, and man, I mean, it gave me goosebumps, and it was really good. And honestly, I really hope that, well, I'll say this. I'm glad to see him in Impact. I want to see him do big things there. And I feel like if people were sleeping on him before, you might want to wake the heck up. So that was my number 1.
It's always great when you have a wrestler who feels like he was dissed by someone else and then has something to prove. Because, yeah, they come back with fire. Boy, let me tell you, that match with him and Rich Swann is going to be a match to watch because that's going to be great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. John Cena Gamer says NXT was 3. Reginald walking into the flames again was number 2. Which is leading up to a intergender match, by the way. And number 1 was Cameron Grimes. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Loved that. How come Enzo isn't in Impact? I don't know. Enzo is going to be probably on Talking Shop, so you'll see Enzo more at some point. Nice call, Jeff Morrissey calling out his former employer. Wow. Yeah. Finn versus Cross as Gus, Inner Circle promo, and Shotzi and Ember versus The Way. Yeah, that whole NXT show was great. And I've got to go back there for my number 1. The main event. Karrion and Balor. Sometimes when you get repeat main events, it's not the luster kind of goes off of it a little bit. And it's really not as good because you're kind of like, yeah, been there, done that. What's different? But, Balor was promoting it really well. Balor came back kind of more quiet a little bit, maybe a little more reserved, but he looked a little bit more determined than he was the last time. And it really looked for a while. And I'll be honest, while I didn't really think Karrion was going to lose, there were a couple of times I thought, well, wait a minute, is he going to pull this off? And so because of that, I think it was a fantastic way. I think this is probably it. I think this is the end of their feud, unless Balor decides to do something with the Demon, which a lot of people said may lead to. I don't know, but I kind of think it's over. I think that this is going to be the end, and he's going to move. They're both going to move on to different things now. Whatever happens with Balor, I don't know. But the match was phenomenal. It really was. They both went back and forth. There were both a lot of times when both of them looked like they could lose the match. So they worked the match real well. And then, of course, with Finn Balor, and this is what I like about him. he's not afraid to put over somebody that he likes. He did it with Bray. He saw what was coming. And I'll tell you what, WWE, this message is for you. When Mr. Balor is finished with his wrestling career, put him in creative.
Yes.
Because obviously he's got something there that can see these things and see this talent enough for him to know that, you know what, I'm going to put these guys over. I'm going to give them a hell of a match, but I'm going to put these guys over because I see something in them. You cannot have any better person in your creative than someone that is willing to do that. So, and see that kind of talent. So just a little side note, but man, yeah, there you go. All right. So that's our top 3 of the week. We hope you guys had some great moments from this past week of wrestling that you will remember. Bliss Van saying, I hope Alexa attacks Shayna on Raw. I think that's coming. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if that's who she's after. She could be after Reginald. We don't know. But we'll see. Even though he lost, my number 1 is my guy, Bobby Fish's first match back. Okay, Brian Coleman. Yeah, absolutely. When Balor put Cross in Hell's Gate, I thought that was the end. Mercedes versus Xia Li got me interested. Love to see Cross either on here or on the 80. Oh, dude, I'd love to get Karrion Cross. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. There's a guy that we know from the other show that's always on that show that did interview Mr. Cross. However, things are different now because he's with NXT. So it's not as easy to get people from NXT or WWE to come on shows because they're bound to certain shows and certain restrictions and things that they can't do that. But yeah, dude, I'd absolutely love to interview him. Has Balor ever wrestled Daniel Bryan? I don't know. Probably, I would imagine.
I don't know. I don't know if that was that same window of time where Bryan was out. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. James Chadwick says number 3 was NXT. Number 2 was Sheeta. Number 1 was seeing that Kylie Ray will be back in the ring for Warrior Wrestling in a few weeks' time. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
We all know what happened in the story of Kylie Ray, and we all wished her well. But it looks as if she's ready to get back into the ring. So, yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely a great moment. Did you see Vince Russo's podcast saying WWE hired me back to work with The Fiend? How do you feel about that? Hired who back? Who is me?
Something about Russo.
Are you talking about himself? That WWE hired Vince back to work with The Fiend?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. We'll see. I don't know.
Not reminiscent of some of the later stuff he did in WCW.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get the later WCW guy. That's very true. That's very true. All right, guys. So that is it for our top 3 moments of the week. Again, we hope that you had a great wrestling week, and we hope you found some things that gave you joy. And you didn't just go on Twitter, and you didn't, go and just hate everything, because we don't want to see you guys doing that. All right. We are at that point of the show where we get a little bit lighter. So it is the lighter side of the ring we are at, and this is the warm-up for Jessie Calynn to get ready for her section of the show, which is Calynn Corner. So lighter side of the ring is up next. We'll talk a little bit about somebody who kind of makes us laugh, and we get to see, a little bit of humor in the wrestling ring. And this week it's about Mr. Sloth Style himself, Orange Cassidy, the OC. I'll tell you, my friend Shane, who is a wrestler, wrestled with this guy, and he knew him from a while back. And I mean, my first time seeing him, now I know he was in the Indies, but my first time seeing him was on AEW. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, this guy is completely different. Like, really completely different. Where do you see a guy that just comes in the ring, hands in his pockets, doesn't move, does these little shin kicks to the other wrestler? Like, what the hell kind of gimmick is this? What is he doing? It's like he's just trying, and then you're expecting the other person he's wrestling is just going to flatten him. Like, they're just going to knock the dude out. Like, he's just an annoyance. But he can wrestle. He can wrestle. He's got some skills. And then I saw him come off when he was wrestling Jericho with a Superman punch. And I'm like, oh my God, the dude's got a Superman punch like Roman Reigns. I think, look, again, different, yes. Not afraid to go out on a limb with a gimmick that is not really something that a lot of people would have ever thought to do. And boy, but I'll tell you, man, oh man, is he over with the fans. This guy is as over as anyone could be. And people were talking about the main event. If this dude would beat Kenny Omega, the internet would erupt. Absolutely erupt. And those fans at that event tomorrow night would go ballistic. So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it happening. At least, I don't think he'll lose clean, because I think Kenny is Kenny's the heel. So he'll have his buddies back him up. But I think that he'll look good in doing so. And I think maybe it will constitute a future match down the road with Kenny in some way, shape, or form. So, but I like it. Like I said, again, a gimmick that brings a smile to my face, makes me laugh. And I think obviously it's going to stand the test of time. People looked at this guy and thought, yeah, this isn't going to last. Obviously it did, and it's over. So go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, he's been over for a long time. And, seeing, by the way, those of you that know Malcolm Bivens from NXT, go look up some of his stuff as Stokely Hathaway with Orange Cassidy. Go look up some of that on YouTube, and you're welcome, because it'll make you it'll make you laugh. So yeah, it was. I like Orange Cassidy. He's not for everyone, which is fine. I mean, not every gimmick is for everyone, and it shouldn't be that way. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy that he's in the match tomorrow night. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what will happen. I don't think he'll win it. But again, if he does, the internet would explode, and for good reason, because this dude is over. He's over like Rover, man. He's just got it, man.
Yes. Yeah, he does. Yes, he does. Orange should beat Omega, says Bliss fan. There's Chris. Chris says hello from vacation. Hello to you on vacation. I hope you're enjoying your vacation. He says, doing good, eating a lot of seafood. Now I remember to have to take food pics. Of course, yep.
Send them my way, Chris. Send them my way.
Conrad says Orange needed the fans. I forgot how over he was with people. I missed that with fans. The Kook says Orange reminds me of that sloth working at the DMV in Zootopia.
Yeah.
Good.
That's
good.
That's good.
You won't beat Omega. That's reserved for a Samoan named Joe, says Big Dan. 7, that's a joke itself, says C7. Oh, God. I love Malcolm Bivens, says Conrad. All right. James says, should check out Cassidy versus Chris Statlander versus Kimber Lee from Beyond Wrestling. So there you go. So there's always some more to look at. All right, Jesse, you're up. It is time for Calynn Corner. And we are about the time to almost just about get out of here. So Jesse's got 7 jokes. So while Jesse is preparing her jokes, let us tell you what we've got coming up. Obviously on Monday, we have Abby's Window. And Jeff, I think there's a little rumor going around that we may be doing some Bray Wyatt Fiend horror stories. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true. We do have some fan fiction horror to discuss. So
there you go. That's awesome. Well, we hope you guys are getting into that. Make sure that you're sending over your entries, obviously, to Jeff and to Jody. They both told me about what was going on. I know a lot of you people have been asking via DMs and stuff like that, like where to send it to and stuff like that. So, yeah, just get those out there. And they're going to have that coming up very soon to make sure that you watch out for that. And Abby's Window will be 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday. And they will probably, I'm sure, talk more about that. along with, well, we didn't see Alexa. We know why we didn't see Alexa, though, and obviously because she lost her pet, Larry Steve, and was very sad time for Alexa Bliss, but I'd imagine she'll be back. So, C says, here we go, Google's worst. Quantity over quality, as always. Orange Cassidy shouldn't be taken serious like the Disco Inferno. They weren't serious, but it was funny. Yeah, no, that's very true. James Grant says, Abby's window, woohoo. Hayden Garrett, hey guys, I'm late. All good, dude. All good. All good. Well, you came in for the jokes. Jesse's warming up. There's our schedule up on the screen. Obviously, then Abby's Window Monday, Impact Wrestling. Our watch along is there. Oh, don't miss Impact this week because we got an Iron Man match. We have a 1 hour Iron Man match between TJP and Josh Alexander on BTI. So that's going to be before the show even starts. So don't be late for that, because that's going to be an event in itself. And then we got the rest of what's going on Impact. So don't miss that. After the Impact, we'll go over everything we saw on the show. And then, of course, on next Saturday, we'll be right back here. We'll be here to do our podcast again. All right. Number one. My cow just wandered into a field of marijuana. The stakes have never been so high. Okay. I like the start.
That's a good start.
C says, what is she warming up? How hard is it to copy and paste? Come on. Some of us need to sleep, and we got 7 of these lame things to go. Good Lord. The heckler's back. The heckler's back. Can you imagine C? You know what, Jeff? Can you imagine C being like the two who it was like Statler and what's his face on the Muppets? The old guys up in the balcony. We gotta get C like a balcony and just have his little drawing in the thing and just have. We have to do that. Jesse, you need to send us over the C art, and Jess got to put a little balcony up in the corner of the stage up there and just have C up in the corner heckling you. That'd be amazing.
Exactly what I'm gonna do.
Drugs. Jesse starting out with drugs. We need the drugs for these jokes. Oh, Beaker. I love Beaker. Beaker was awesome. And Dr. Bunsen. I am Dr. Bunsen. Honeydew. I love that. Love the Muppets. Loved it. Statler and Waldorf. Thank you, Big Dan. Yes. 4:22 a.m. Good Lord, James. God bless. God bless. I don't know how you do it. All right. Jesse, where's number 2? Anyway, thank you guys for coming out. To all of you for coming out. Again, we hope you enjoyed the new logo, the new stuff that you see from our show, the changes that we're making. Appreciate your patience through all that, and we hope that you like everything. I know that everything was well received, and Jeff really put in a lot of hard work trying to get that all taken care of today. And that is a lot of stuff to do. So again, thank you for doing that, Jeff, as always. All right, number 2. A man told me my girlfriend accused me of cheating. I told her she was starting to sound like my wife. Nice.
That's good.
That's good. That's good. Oh, the Coug. That's a classic. Oh my God. I've heard that one when I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. Good Lord. You guys can read that. That's a classic one. That's been around for a long, long time. Hayden says, I love the new Insiders logo. That is all Jeff, but thank you. And again, we changed our name. We are now Insiders Pro Wrestling. So I'm glad that you are enjoying that. Okay, Insiders, I hope you liked the AEW pay-per-view. Yeah, you too, Gus. If you're going to watch it, like I said, I hope you enjoy it. All right. We're waiting on number 3. Jesse said joke number 2 is the drizzling shits. All right, here's number 3. Dude said, women only call me ugly until they find out how much money I make. Then they call me ugly and poor. Oh, James Chadwick says he is in roast mode. Yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. Like those old Dean Martin roasts that you used to watch on the Comedy Central channel and stuff like that when you'd see people getting roasted on there. Yeah. Yes.
You
Yes.
know what, Joe? I'm glad to see that Jesse used the joke that I told her.
Oh, there you go.
Not
Okay.
really. I'm not really. But I just feel like that's me. So
There you go. There you go.
I feel personally attacked on that joke.
C is falling asleep. She's putting C to sleep now. He's yawning. I'm telling you, we got to get that picture up in the corner, up in that left corner, right by the sea. Yep. Oh, how fitting is that? You put the balcony up by the sea. Oh, that sea was made for that. Number 4, my dog kept chasing people on a bike. Eventually, it got so bad, I had to take his bike away. Oh, okay. I see it. I like it. Oh, now Chris is yawning. Good Lord. Jesse's getting it from all angles. Poor Jesse. Poor Jesse. Oh, my gosh. Irresponsible pet owner now, Jesse. Animal rights. Hashtag canceled. Hashtag canceled. It really is like the Muppet Show because he's coming up with these quippy like lines, these like nasty lines after jokes. It really is. Number 5, kids in the back seat make accidents, and accidents in the back seat make kids. Ooh, that's a spicy one. Yeah, little spice. Little spice. All right. All right. I dig it. All right. Oh. Big Dan's getting into the act. What's the difference between a spanking and a Taco Bell customer? A spanking rattles the buns, and Taco Bell customer battles the runs. Okay. Yeah. That deserved it. Yep. That deserved it. That's good. That's a good one. The Coog says that accident joke is so true. What?
Story.
You've experience with this? I'm not going there. Not going there.
Oh, man.
Risky, Jesse. It was very risky when that creepy old man in the beanie with the beard was stood at the back window of your car. Oh, God. Gus says, sorry, I was sleeping. All right, number 6. My friend told me my boyfriend just broke up with me for talking about video games too much. What a stupid thing to fall out for. That was clever. That's good. That's clever.
Good.
Chris says, stop the X-rated jokes, Jesse. Please, it's PG.
We're waiting on number 7, so.
We still have number 7 to go. Drum roll, please. Yes, there you go. Coog says, no, Joe and Jeff, I'm good so far. We're good. Okay. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Gus says, okay, that was funny. C's yawning still. The next thing he's going to comment are going to be all Z's. He's going to just put Z's all across the thing. It could be said, yep, I'm out. That's it. I'm sleeping. Here it comes. Last one, number 7. I have many jokes about unemployed people. Sadly, none of them work. Okay. That's a good ending. That was good. Good. That was a good job. That was a good one. Gus is L the Z's. There's the Z's. Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. As always, we got to leave you laughing. And the famous person said that. Always leave them laughing. Was that P.T. Barnum that said that? Was it P.T. Barnum? And then it said always leave them laughing? I think so.
Or leave them wanting more.
Leave them with something like that. But anyway, someone said it. It's someone I'm sure said it. So there you go. So Coog is laughing. LOL. Oh, Jesse, that's extremely offensive to all those lazy bums who don't work. All right, guys. Well, there you go. There you have it. That is our weekly wrestling wrap-up show for this week in wrestling. We hope that you all enjoyed the show. We are glad that you were here with us tonight on a Memorial Day weekend here in the States. If you're celebrating, we hope that you will enjoy the weekend. Unfortunately, Jeff and I up here are getting clobbered with rain and like winter weather again, like 40-degree temps. So it doesn't look like it's going to be too enticing of a weekend to go out anywhere. But we hope that wherever you are going to enjoy the rest of the holiday. Obviously, keep in mind for Memorial Day, those who have served for our country and those who have passed away, who have served their country, whether it be from serving and or have served previously, and that's kind of what Memorial Day is all about. So keep all that in mind as well for the weekend too. Trex Edie says, good show. Thank you. Appreciate that, Trex Edie. We really do. Big Dan says, Joe, if they aren't laughing, then they've been using brand X for Joker brand. I get a grin again and again. I remember that line. That's my favorite Batman movie. Still is. Always will be. Loved Jack Nicholson as the Joker. So, all right, guys, we got to get out. Hopefully, like I said, hope to see you all on Monday for Abby's Window. Jeff and Jody will be there. And then hope you will all join us next week for Impact and then right back here next Saturday night. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget to sub if you haven't done so already and you're new to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out of here tonight. And, of course, hit the notifications button if you want to know when we have shows coming on. And like we said, we're not going to say yet, but teaser. Actually, I'll even go so far as to say it's a spoiler. We will have new shows coming. You guys some of you have asked for it, and we will be doing some things you asked for. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil it any further than that. So, but it's coming. So keep that, hit that notifications button because you never know. You never know what's going to come. Conrad says, have a good holiday. Everyone who celebrates, be safe. Yes. Please be safe, especially if you're traveling. Be safe in whatever it is that you do to choose to celebrate the holiday weekend. And hopefully we will see you all for our next show, which is Abby's on Monday. Have a great rest of your Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy the pay-per-view tomorrow, and we hopefully will see you all soon. Good night, everybody.